Picture a man named James. He is 41 years old. He is an electrician in Indiana, married, 3 kids. He works hard, shows up early, stays late when he has to, pays his bills, and does what responsible people are supposed to do. On the surface, James looks disciplined, reliable, maybe even successful. But underneath, there is a quiet contradiction. His family depends on his income, but his income depends entirely on his body. If James stops working, the money stops too. Same effort, same discipline, same responsibility, but completely different future depending on one question. Does your money keep working when you stop? And this is where the trap begins. This is not really a story about having a job. It is a story about depending on your job as your only financial engine. Most people assume the path is simple. Work hard, earn more, spend less. Eventually, everything will work out. But the reality is different. If your paycheck is your only plan, then your entire future depends on your ability to keep working. And that is fragile. Because one illness, one layoff, one injury, one family emergency, or one exhausted nervous system can interrupt the whole thing. This pattern has a name, the employee trap. And it works quietly. First, you trade time for money. Then your job becomes your identity. Then your paycheck becomes your ceiling. And before you notice it, you become afraid to build income outside of work because it feels unfamiliar, risky, or like something meant for other people. The job is not the trap. The trap is believing your job is the whole plan. A job can feed your family. A job can give you stability. A job can teach you skills. A job can give you dignity. But a job alone rarely builds freedom unless some part of that income is turned into ownership. Let me make this visible. James earns $58,000 a year. After taxes, the mortgage, groceries, his truck payment, insurance, gas, repairs, and all the small things that never stop adding up, he and his wife, Ava, have maybe $350 left at the end of the month. Some months less, some months nothing. And James is not doing anything wrong. That is the important part. He is doing exactly what he was taught to do. Get a skill, get a job, work hard, take care of your family, keep going. But here is the math nobody talks about. There are only 24 hours in a day. You can pick up extra shifts, you can push for raises, you can work weekends. But when your income depends on your hours, there is a ceiling. Because if your money only appears when you appear, your body becomes the business. Your time becomes the product. Your energy becomes the inventory. Your paycheck becomes the limit. And that is the part most people miss. It is not just about working hard. It is about whether your hard work is building something that keeps working after you stop. Here is the first mistake. Most people try to solve the paycheck trap by asking, how can I work more? But that question is too weak, because more overtime still requires more time. More shifts still require more energy. More work still requires more of you. James cannot work 200 hours a week. He cannot be in 3 places at once. His income is attached to his body. Even if he earns more, the structure stays the same. The better question is, how can I make some part of my money work without needing more hours from me? Because the real price of selling time is not just exhaustion. The real price is that every dollar requires another piece of your life. But that is only the surface. The employee trap also has a psychological layer. Most people are trained for one path. Get good grades, get a good job, earn a good salary, stay responsible. That path is not evil, but it is incomplete because it teaches people how to become employable. It rarely teaches them how to become owners. Most people know how to write a resume, but they do not understand compound interest. They know how to introduce themselves by occupation, but they do not know how to build assets. And over time, something subtle happens. Your job stops being only what you do. It becomes who you are. When someone asks, "What do?" you say, "I am an electrician. I am a nurse. I am a teacher. I am a manager." And that sounds harmless, but it quietly fuses your identity to one income source. James does not just work as an electrician. He is an electrician. And once that happens, investing can feel like it is for finance people. Building assets can feel like it is for rich people. Owning businesses can feel like something meant for someone else. So James does not reject ownership because he is stupid. He rejects it because it does not feel like him. That is the psychological trap. The mind protects the identity it already knows, even when that identity is expensive. And this is why the pattern is so hard to break. It does not feel wrong. It feels responsible. It feels safe. It feels normal. It feels like doing what everyone else is doing. James is not making decisions in isolation. His father worked a job his whole life. His friends trade hours for pay. His neighbors do the same. Every electrician James knows works jobs, picks up overtime, complains about bills, and waits for the next paycheck. So when everyone around you lives the same way, the pattern starts to feel like reality, not one option. Reality. Nobody says, let's talk about ownership. Nobody says, let's turn our paychecks into assets. Instead, people talk about hours, rates, bills, overtime, layoffs, and who is hiring. So the idea of doing something different does not only feel financially risky, it feels socially weird. It feels like stepping outside the group. And that is hard because humans are wired to belong. Then another thought appears. I have already spent 18 years doing this. I cannot suddenly become someone else. I am not one of those investing people. But that is the lie. James does not have to become someone else. He does not have to stop being an electrician. He only has to become an electrician who also owns assets. That is the shift. Not replacement, expansion. The problem is not one paycheck. It is not one hard month. It is not one missed investment. It is not 1 year of just trying to survive. The problem is what happens when the pattern repeats for decades. The money comes in, bills get paid, groceries get bought, debt gets handled. Maybe something goes into savings. Maybe something gets spent because life has been stressful. Then the month ends. And the cycle repeats. Most people treat their paycheck as money to live on. But your paycheck was never meant to be the finish line. It can become starting capital. A small part of your paycheck can become ownership. When you buy a share of stock, you become a partial owner of a real business. When you buy an index fund, you can own small pieces of hundreds of companies at once. Those companies keep operating while you sleep. They sell products. They hire people. They innovate. They earn profits. And you do not have to stand behind the counter. You do not have to manage the warehouse. You do not have to drive to the office. Your money participates in the economy without your body needing to be there. That is ownership. And ownership is what breaks the ceiling. Not instantly, not magically, but structurally. Because now your future is not only tied to your hours. Some part of your future is tied to assets. So the better rule is simple. Use active income to buy passive ownership. Again and again. Quietly. Automatically. For years. This does not mean you have to become Warren Buffett. It does not mean you need to pick individual stocks. It does not mean you need to quit your job, start a business tomorrow, or risk your family's stability. It means your paycheck should not only maintain your life, it should also build your future. Warren Buffett understood this early. At 11 years old, he bought his first stock. At 17, he bought a used pinball machine for $25 and placed it in a barbershop. The first night, it made $4. Soon, he bought another machine, then another. And that pinball machine is the whole lesson. It earned money whether Buffett was standing next to it or not. While he was at school, it earned. While he was sleeping, it earned. While he was doing something else, it earned. That is the difference. There is income you earn by showing up, and there is income that shows up whether you do or not. Buffett built his life around the second kind, not because he was lazy, but because he understood that effort becomes much more powerful when it is aimed at ownership. And to be clear, this does not mean every employee is trapped. This does not mean jobs are bad. This does not mean you should quit tomorrow, start a business, risk your family's stability, or pretend responsibilities do not exist. If you have people depending on you, quitting your job without a plan is not brave. It is reckless. A stable paycheck can be a blessing. A good job can be a powerful foundation. The problem is not having a job. The problem is depending on your job as your only plan. The difference is not employee versus entrepreneur. The difference is conscious versus automatic. Are you using your paycheck to build something beyond your paycheck? Or is every dollar simply passing through your life? The point is not to reject work. The point is to stop making work your only source of financial oxygen. Some expenses are absolutely worth it. Some comforts are worth it. Some choices make life better, but they should be chosen consciously, not automatically. Not because everyone else is doing it. Not because you are trying to prove something. Not because stress made you spend whatever was left. If you want to start today, keep it simple. This week, look at your paycheck and ask one question. How much of this money is only maintaining my life, and how much of it is building my future? Do not judge yourself. Just look. This month, choose one amount you can invest automatically. Maybe it is $25. Maybe it is $50. Maybe it is $100. The number matters less than the habit. Set it up so it happens before the money disappears into everything else. Long term, stop introducing yourself only by your job title. Your job may describe how you earn money today, but it should not define the entire shape of your future. Start seeing every paycheck as more than income. See it as a chance to buy back a small piece of your future freedom. Because the first investment is not powerful because the amount is huge. It is powerful because the identity changes. You are no longer only someone who works for money. You are someone whose money also works for you. That is the beginning of freedom. Come back to James. He still wakes up early. He still drives to job sites. He still fixes wiring, solves problems, answers calls, and comes home tired. From the outside, his life may look the same, but inside, something has changed. Because James no longer sees his paycheck as the ceiling, he sees it as the starting point. He is still an electrician, but he is not only an electrician. He is an electrician who owns pieces of businesses. He is an electrician whose money keeps moving after he clocks out. And that changes everything. The employee trap was never about bad jobs or bad people. It was about a story you were handed before you were old enough to question it. A story that said, your job title is your identity. Your paycheck is your ceiling. Your hours are your only value. And the safest path is the one everyone else is walking. Buffett questioned that story at 11. You are questioning it right now. So in the end, the question is not, what do you do for a living? The question is, what does your money keep doing when you stop working? And if your answer is nothing, then maybe the next chapter is not about working harder. Maybe it is about finally becoming an owner, because your job can pay your bills. But ownership is what buys your future.